Welcome to Channel 6 News. Tonight we have a special feature following two women in the midst of the terrors in Afghanistan.
Miriam is the illegitimate daughter of the well-known Jalil Khan, and her story, though not well-known, is one that is unforgettable. She is brave through her hardships and understanding to those who need her most.
This feature will include the interview with Miriam before her death and news reports relating to events in her life.
Also in this feature, we will follow Miriam's sister wife Layla, whose life was shaped around the Afghanistan hardships.
Tune in after the break to witness the lives of two incredible women and their stories.
Welcome back to our special feature. And now is the story of Miriam and Layla's life as they suffered through the discriminations of women and the indescribable pain Afghanistan suffered in the last 50 years.
Miriam was born in 1959 as an illegitimate child to Jalil Khan and his housekeeper. She and her mother were banished to a kolba, secluded from society to live their lives. Miriam grew up only seeing a handful of people. She longed to see the outside world and got her chance at the age of 15.
What was a major advocate for you wanting to leave the kolba?
My mentor, Mullah Faidzullah, he taught me about the outside world, and he was the one who inspired me, and he encouraged me to pursue my dreams.
When did you first escape to the outside world?
I first left my childhood home on my 15th birthday because I'd wanted to go with my father to watch a new American movie. It was called Pinocchio.
And in cultural news, the hit Disney movie that came out in February 1940 has now been translated to Pashto and shown in Afghani cinemas everywhere.
Adults and children alike are racing to see the magical story of the woodworker who builds a puppet that becomes a real boy. With a nose the length of his lives, he embarks on a journey of a lifetime. The rest you will have to see for yourself in a theater near you.
Thank you for joining Channel 6 News, and good night.
How did you find yourself marrying a man 3 years your senior?
When Jalil abandoned me on my birthday, I went to his home to wait for him, only to be driven back by a servant because he was embarrassed by me because I was a Harami. To my horror, Nana had hung herself because I had left her to see the outside world. Jalil didn't want me on his hands, so he married me off to a shoemaker, Rashid.
Okay. What was it like having an arranged marriage?
It was definitely very different and extremely scary. I really didn't know what he expected of me, but later found out all he wanted of me was a son.
And how did you ever fulfill his wishes?
I never could fulfill his wishes. We tried many times, but never succeeded. I had many miscarriages, which led to his dislike for me.
Tonight on Channel 6 News, we have a full story of the frightening events in Afghanistan that is shaking the nation.
On April 17, 1978, Mir Akbar Khyber of Afghanistan is brutally murdered. Following the murder, the government district streets of Kabul are taken over by 10,000 people marching in protest. Sources say that they are blaming the murder on President Daud Khan's government.
Mir Akbar Khan was a communist and strongly believed in Karl Marxist. Members of the Afghan Communist Party are giving speeches and leading the protests in the streets.
Following the demonstration, military planes litter the sky as bombs begin to drop. Air Force Colonel Abdul Qadar reports that the 4th Armored Division has taken over the airport, the Ministries of Communication, and the Foreign Ministry buildings. The presidential palace has been attacked with an intense battle just beginning.
Anyone who was connected to the Daud Khan were executed, while his family was massacred in front of him. It is unknown whether Daud committed suicide or was murdered by the communist Red Bulls.
Afghanistan is now declared as a Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. All power has now been given to the people, and they have nothing to fear. It is a happy day for all who have suffered under the power of Mir Akbar Khan and Daud Khan.
More of this special feature after the break.
Welcome back to Channel 6 News. We continue our story of the two Muslim women in the midst of the hardships in Afghanistan.
We now meet Layla, a young girl who lost her family to the actions of the political war.
Layla was a smart young girl who was destined for a bright future. She had many great things coming her way, but it was never to be. Layla, like Miriam, was forced to marry Rashid to try and give him the son he craved. Layla, thank you for coming to do this interview with us.
Of course, Miriam was like another mother to me, and I'm so grateful to be able to share a story together today.
What was going through your mind that day your house was bombed?
I was absolutely terrified. To see my family dead, their bodies unmoving, it was something I will never forget. For so many days, I don't know what to do with myself. I had no family, and I felt guilty because I survived and they didn't.
What was the next thing that you remembered after the bomb?
I woke up in a strange place. I had no idea where I was, but later learned that the rest of my family was gone, and these strangers saved me. I was so grateful, but on the bad days, I wished I died with the rest of my family.
How did you meet Layla?
After the bombing of our town, Rashid went out to the rebel, and he found an orphan girl, and she was trapped under the debris. He dug her out, and I nursed her back to health. Rashid instantly took a liking to her because he thought that she would be able to give him the son he wanted.
In world news, Afghanistan is still under attack tonight as we take a look at the latest city targeted.
A small town by the name of Kabul has recently been bombed. Houses lay in ruins as children and adults are injured. Exact numbers will be out later tonight, but they are expected to have hundreds of deaths and even more injured.
More information as it comes in. Up next, after the break, a new invention called Velcro that is sweeping the nation.
Did you get along well with Layla, or did you feel replaced and resent her?
At the beginning, I did feel anger towards her, and looking back, I treated her terribly. We did eventually become really close, as she practically became my daughter, and I did everything in my power to protect her and her children.
Friends, right? How did that friendship begin?
Miriam, she resented me from the start. I was Rashid's perfect wife, the one who could have kids. But she found out later, though, that I was actually pregnant with my friend's child, my now husband's. And I just pretended it was Rashid's to protect myself and my baby. Part of the reason we bonded was simply our common enemy.
Did your husband ever find out that it wasn't his child?
He did, and my beautiful baby girl Aziza was prone to be exposed to Rashid's hatred because she wasn't a boy. When he found out she was a Harami, he hated her even more, which really hurt the both of us.
Earlier you said that Rashid was you and Miriam's common enemy. How so?
He would continually beat us. The two of us would have bruises, lost teeth, and other bodily harm just from him. I think Miriam just couldn't take it anymore, and one night she just snapped.
What was going through your mind the night you killed your husband, Rashid?
I really don't remember much from that night, honestly. Everything was such a blur. I was so panicked. I wasn't really sure of what I was really doing. All I knew was that I needed to protect Layla and her children from that monster of a man.
Today, we mourn the murder of the shoemaker Rashid. He lived in Kabul and last night was brutally murdered with a shovel by one of his wives.
His wife, Miriam, is currently being taken to jail, where she will soon be executed for her crimes.
His other wife, Layla, is in an unknown location, but Miriam is stating that her younger sister wife had nothing to do with the crime. More information about this terrible deed tomorrow morning.
Thank you for joining Channel 6 News and Good News.
I can't.
And you're gonna have to scroll down for to see
Yeah.
your second line. Okay. Go.
We just have a few more questions for you before we sign off for the day. First, what was going through your head right now? Are you scared about your fate?
I know what I did was wrong, but I did it for the good of Layla and her children. I'm old now, and I'm losing my will to live anyway. Soon, I'll be executed for murder, and as long as Layla's happy, then so am I.
Just a few more questions for you, Layla. Thank you for your time. How do you feel now knowing that Miriam risked her life to protect you and your children and is now facing death for it?
It honestly really breaks my heart. Miriam became a mother figure to me, to the very end. Knowing I will never see her again because she protected me makes me feel so guilty. I love her so much and will remember her as long as I live.
Thank you for sharing this emotional story with us. We will all forever remember and honor Miriam's life.
Thank you all for tuning in to our special feature about two women whose lives were shaped around the terrors of Afghanistan at the time.
We ask that each one of you watching at home spreads the story of the bravery and kindness along with the perseverance of Miriam and Layla and their willingness to die for those they loved.
Yes, indeed. Thank you all and good night.